Hello, Eagles. Thank you so much for being here with us on a Saturday. You guys love student life and we love you. But we're bringing you some great information this week. It's been Financial Literacy Week, so we're definitely bringing this information to you. So today we're going to be talking about budgeting like a boss. So today our guest speaker is Mr. Joel Philistin. He used to be an HCC Eagle with us working here. And he is a financial wellness program director at the University of Pittsburgh. Prior to that, Joel worked as a financial coach at Houston Community College. Joel learned the importance of managing money while working in the bank industry. His goal is to help students avoid the financial mistakes he made and help students gain financial success. So without further ado, I present to you Mr. Joel for our Budgeting Like a Boss.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. I know it is a Saturday, and one of the best things about a Saturday is a great time for you to go ahead and gain some additional skills. I know throughout the whole week, you're in your classes, you're learning about your careers. One of the great things about using a Saturday is a good time for you to get some of that additional information that you could use along with your career. So I thank you for coming out today. I welcome you participating as much as possible. Please use the chat, use the different reactions. As Ashley shared, I learned a lot in my financial journey from the moment I graduated high school up until this point right now, where I'm constantly learning about investments, about Bitcoin, so many different things where the financial arena is always changing. So one of the things that I'm really passionate about is speaking with college students, because right now you have the opportunity to build some of those foundations of your financial picture. And for some of you who may be a little bit more mature, you may be fixing some of those financial foundations. So today, I really just want to take advantage of this time and just give you some of that information to help you start to think about your post-college life, helping you understand how to have somewhat of a successful financial future, things that you could be doing right now in college and post-graduation, where you could really take it and make it grow from there. So you might see on the screen, I have a little popular meme that we've seen within the last 6 months, where the gentleman went ahead and said, where the money resides, where the money resides. So today I just want to go ahead and tell you where the money resides, and it all resides with budgeting. So essentially what we'll be doing is we'll start off with earning money. Number two, then we'll start to talk about planning for your money. Then after that, let's talk about keeping your money and then making your money work for you. All right. So we're going to do this pretty quickly, but at the same time, please, by all means, go ahead and participate with me. Like they shared, I'm actually in New Jersey right now. I've been working from home or working remotely from New Jersey as I work at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm so glad that I still get a chance to engage with my Eagles. I got a chance to start working with college students at Houston Community College. So I'm always grateful that HEC gave me that first shot. And now that I'm a director at the University of Pittsburgh, that all happened through HEC. So definitely feel free to engage. I'm here to go ahead and answer questions with you. So to start off today, all right. So first thing first, I always start off with this when I'm discussing budgeting or saving, even credit. What you're doing right now is you are investing in yourself. I can't express that enough. I can't express how important it is for you to take advantage of your time being in your studies and making sure that you are progressing towards graduation. Basically, when you're looking at the screen, what do you see? What's the one common denominator that you see on this screen? Anybody, you could put it in the chat or you could take yourself off mute. I like to keep it pretty open so you can engage in any way that you see fit. But anybody, what is it that you see when you're looking at this chart right now?
That you're going to need a college degree or some type to actually succeed.
Perfect. I love it. I love you hit it right on the nail that you right now being in college will lead to more money most likely. I know whenever I speak with, like, let's say friends, or I speak with people who are younger than me, I have so many people who will go ahead and tell me, well, I look at Mark Zuckerberg, who owns Facebook, and he didn't graduate from college. Or I look at, Bill Gates who didn't graduate from college. I look at TikTokers who didn't graduate from college, and they're making so much money. So why do I need a college degree? I've run into students on campus who sometimes were dropping out because they would say, oh, well, it's just not working for me. I'll figure it out in another way. The reason why I always bring this up, when we're looking at the overall statistics of the economy, right? The people who earn the highest amount of income are those who graduated from college. So why do I say that? It's very easy for us nowadays to get tempted by today's culture where it's constantly social media. You see in social media models making great money without degrees, or we're looking at other people who make money without degrees, right? And it's easy for us to get caught up in that picture and say, well, I'm going to go ahead and try their route, and end up getting swept up into the wrong revenue source. When it comes down to it, you getting that college degree opens up doors for you. So for instance, myself, I'm from New Jersey, little neighborhood in New Jersey, somewhat tough neighborhood. When I graduated college, it gave me that chance to go ahead and move out to Houston, gave me that first career, took it from there, was able to go to another college, build on my career some more, up until I've made it to this point where I'm able to make some more money as a director, right? Now, the great thing about you getting your college degree is it gives you knowledge, and you take that knowledge and you could go ahead and make that knowledge power. You can make that knowledge money. So one of the things that I really want you to do right now while you're taking your classes is make sure that you are passing those classes, that you're progressing towards graduation, because that's going to be the number one source to your income. And before we even talk about budgeting, there's always two parts to it. Number one is the money that you have coming in. And then after that, you start to talk about the money that you have going out. If you're not maximizing your opportunity to have as much money coming in as possible, then you already have started off at a lower capability to handle some of those expenses that you'll have in the future, or some of those financial goals you have in the future. So I really want to just impress that upon you. Make sure that you are passing your classes, take the education that you have, and think of different ways to use it so that you can progress throughout life. For instance, a Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, whenever people bring them up, I always tell people, remember, they went to college first, and then after that, they were able to start a company during college and follow those streams. So make sure that you're knocking out those classes, learning what you have to learn, and always remember, you will be a lifelong learner. So even if your career is going to change, all that good stuff, at the end of the day, education pays. I really want to impress that upon you. Always remember that people who usually do not complete college on like large levels, when we're looking at mass levels, most of the times they earn less than people who have graduated from college. So always keep that in mind. Now, just to go on, definitely want to just impress this upon you, whether you're going for an associate's degree, certificate options, so many great options. If you're in a career, or maybe you're studying something that you don't enjoy right now, go ahead and like look into some of those different degree options, certificate options. I know I've worked with different students who maybe went into, they started off wanting to be in nursing, and then they moved over to process technology, for example. Or I've had people who said, well, I want to do engineering, but then went into web design, which is a 2-year degree or certificate. So definitely, if you're feeling uncomfortable with what you're studying right now, think about, switching to something that's more along your lines, because at the end of the day, that college degree will pay dividends for you. All right. So, all right, now that I finished up with my soapbox, this whole portion is where I preach to you. That was my little preacher message. Now I'm gonna go ahead and jump in to the actual content that we want to cover today. So we're gonna use the chat for this. With this next slide, has your money ever told you this? Has your money ever told you, like, what is it that you are trying to do now? And if it has, go ahead and put something in the chat. Give me a yes or no. I'll be honest. My money several times has looked at me and said, Joel, what are you trying to do now? Throughout life, my money has done that to me. My money has told me, Joel, you are over here spending money on these Air Force Ones. You are over here not taking the time to understand how much money you have coming in. You don't have enough money. Now you have an overdraft fee because you spent way too much money. We all probably have been here where we just spend. We don't really take that time to plan ahead of time. And that's where budgeting is important, because budgeting is where you create a financial plan for how you will spend your money, how you create a mission for your dollars. So I really want to tell you right now, as you are going through this journey of understanding money, right now, as you are working right now, as you are thinking about your career, it's great when you're earning income, but with you earning income, you have to go ahead and set up a plan of how will you distribute that income. The reason why that's important is because it will lead to other opportunities throughout your life. If you're frivolously spending money constantly throughout time, then most of the time you're going to be one of those people who may run into financial issues, may not have enough savings, someone who's not capable of investing, someone who may end up, hurting their credit scores. With you being able to say, I know how to budget my money, basically you are going to be a manager of where your money goes, and you'll be able to accomplish some of those financial goals. That's like the number one thing of financial literacy. It all starts with budgeting. It all starts with knowing where your money is going at a particular time. Now, one thing about me, and I always share my personal journey. One thing about me is my parents did a great job raising my family. I feel like they did a wonderful job about that. They really guided us through like my community. They impressed upon us that we should go get a college education. They taught us how to give back to our community. But one thing my parents weren't necessarily good at is sitting us down and telling us about the finances going on in our household. Some of you may know this feeling. If you do, just go ahead and put something in the chat for me. Give me a yes or no, a maybe so. But have any of you remembered going into a grocery store, maybe looking at, let's say, Lay's potato chips, and you like, Mom, let's get the Lay's. Like, I see the commercials all the time. I see that you have money, or let's get these Nikes, Mom, please. I really want to get it. And instead of just like explaining why you couldn't get it, it was just a no. Anybody felt that? They'll just be like, no, you can't have it. So you're just sitting there like, I don't understand. Why can't I have it, right? So a lot of times when we don't get an explanation of why we couldn't have it, then most of the time we're just like, there's like constraints here. I can't wait to get my own money because then I'm going to spend it the way I like to, right? We all start to have that feeling like I'm going to spend my money my way because you won't give me the money that I need. And for what it is, don't blame our parents or don't blame our upbringing. Most of the time they didn't know how to have those financial conversations with us. They didn't know how to show us that, oh, before I go out, I create a budget so that I don't spend too much. See, they gave us the teaching of like, no, I'm not going to do it for you, but they didn't give us the explanation on the background. So like my parents is the same thing. They just didn't give me the explanation of like why we couldn't get that particular thing that I wanted. So one of the things that I want to like go ahead and show you today is just the basics of a budget. Like, how are you creating it? What should you take the time to consider as you're creating your budget? I know some of you are probably still living at home right now, but even in the midst of this, as you're earning income in college, taking that time to give your dollars a mission now so that you can go ahead and graduate and maybe purchase like a home immediately, or 2 to 3 years in, 4 years in, pay off your student loans quickly. I want to make sure that we go over some of those steps to make that happen. So to do that today, I'm going to give you a quick little scenario. So let's just say you just graduated from a 4-year institution, and this is all a scenario. In this scenario, you are a first-time college grad. You are making $45,000 a year, which is $3,750 per month. With this $3,750, you have taxes, you have health insurance, you have retirement investing that's coming out of your gross pay. So your net pay is going to be $3,000 monthly. You are a single person at that. So right now you are single, earning about $3,000, single take-home pay. All right. You have no children, and let's say your parents have just moved out to Florida, so now you are on your own. With this scenario, what I want you to do, and I'm going to switch my screen really quickly. Let's get over here. There we go. What I want you to do today is I want you to go ahead and help me spend this money. Now, like I said, you have $3,000 in income. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the chat to do this. So now you have $3,000 in income that you received for April 2021. What I want you to do using the chat, I want you to do two things. I want you to suggest what would you spend this $3,000 on that you have in income. And then number two, I want you to go ahead and tell me some amount. So first I'll ask you, what are you going to spend your money on first? You go ahead and put something in the chat. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and ask you, what would you spend on? Like, how much would you spend? So we'll start off with right now, like, and use the chat feature. What is the first thing you would go ahead and pay towards? Let's see, pay my first. That's so I like that, Dominique, but you cheated a little bit, you cheated a little bit. Let's see, I see debt, I see my bills, finances, food. Okay, I'm happy to see that. I see housing. Perfect. Any other answers? Credit cards. Okay, let's go. Any other answers? Throw out your answers right now. I see mortgage. Okay, so I like where all of you are thinking, right? So I seen good things like housing. I seen paying myself first, which we are going to get to. And I'm so happy that you put that in there, Dominique. I'm so happy to see that. I see paying off debt. I like the way all of you are thinking. All of you are thinking very responsibly. You're giving your dollars a mission just in the way that you're like going about this exercise right now. So just to start off with one thing, I'm going to go ahead and do housing first. So let's say housing. Let's say we have an apartment. How much would you put towards that apartment? Anybody? Let's get a range. Like, how much would you pay for a 1-bedroom apartment? And it could be estimate. So feel free to put an estimate in. You could put it right in the chat, or you could be using Google to go ahead and find some average rent in the Houston area. Let's see. And I'm going to try to get a good average between what everybody's posting here. All right. So this is a good amount. I like where you're thinking. Now, one of the great things about living in Houston is that housing costs are pretty amazing. You know what I mean? So I saw 700, I saw 800, I saw 900, I saw 1100. I'm so happy that all of you did not put 1500 or like 1600. So let's do this. How about we do 900 just to be in the middle? Because I saw a few different numbers there. And let's say your first 1-bedroom apartment, you're going to put in 900. All right. So as it saves, all right, we still have 2,100 down. Now, I love the way that all of you went about it, because you looked at like what percentage of your income probably that you would spend on rent. Most of the time, housing is the most expensive thing that we spend out of our income. So one thing that I always want you to be mindful of is, as you are preparing your budget, start to think about what portions of my expenses will consume a large portion of my income. It's very possible for you to go ahead and say, well, I'll spend $1,500 on my rent and I'll have that beautiful apartment downtown that overlooks the city. It'll feel good, but what would be the problem with that? Anybody? You can use the chat, or you could take yourself off of chat. What if I go ahead and pick up an apartment for $1,500? What would that do to the remainder of my income? Anybody?
It will just deplete it.
It will deplete it, right? So
yeah, like if you spend that much on housing, then you're not gonna have no room for food. You're not gonna have room for anything else. You're just living in a good house. Well, in a good apartment. It's not even a house, it's an apartment.
Pretty much, right? And you're probably just doing this for like the gram at this point. You're doing this to show off. So that's very important for us to be careful, right? Because sometimes we make emotional decisions. apartments, cars, all that good stuff. And sometimes when we make some of those decisions, it consumes way too much of our income. I have a personal story of that. When I first moved to Houston, I was moving from New Jersey, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get like a luxury apartment. And essentially, I decided not to do that because it would consume way too much of my income at that time. So I definitely want you to be mindful of that, especially these larger expenses where you have to commit for a year or maybe 2 or 3. You want to make sure that you're getting something that's in the proper proportion of your income. So now that we have rent taken care of, I saw food, and I'm gonna go straight for food right now. But actually, before I do that, let me just do this. How much would you pay for utilities with this 1 bedroom apartment? Anybody give me an estimate?
All of them included? Like
All bills
water,
are,
all of it
let's say
together, all
all
together?
bills. Nope, it's not included. Let's say out of the 900, gas is taken care of, trash is taken care of, water is taken care of, but you still have to pay for your energy bill. How much would you pay? And you could do an estimate. You could be using Google as we're doing this. I see 150, which is close. 125. Okay, perfect. 100. I'm gonna go with 125. Let's go 125. Now, one thing about utilities, and we all know that, or maybe we all know this, is that is a variable expense, and that depends on how much you consume with this utility. Yeah. So that's another thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying? How do I
was just repeating what you said. I unmuted myself after you said what you said, but I was trying to.
No, I love it. And like I said, I want y'all to participate because I want to make sure that we're keeping this open and that you're getting what you need out of this presentation. So please feel free to participate as much as possible. But with the utilities, it's all about how much are you consuming with it, right? Utilities tend to fluctuate, especially in the summer when we're using the air conditioner more. The utilities tend to be a little bit higher. So certain months, you may have to plan for it to be a little bit higher versus, in the winter months when it's going to be a little bit lower. So definitely think about your variable expenses, and you want to find a good average in between them. Because otherwise, if it goes too high and you're not prepared for that, then you might have a gap in your budget. So definitely take that time to be prepared for that. Now let's go on to our second thing, and that's going to be food. So using the chat once more, are we going to be eating out more, or are we going to, and be honest, actually, let me do it this way. How many of you eat out a lot? If you eat out a lot, go ahead and just put that in the chats. Give me a yes if you eat out a lot. Never out, okay. I got you, Vita, you're like, I don't do it. Try to save my money. I love that. 50%, all right. Is that Lily? Okay, Lily. So that's pretty honest, right? I love that. That's so honest. So that's good. I'm happy that we are considering that, right? So there's nothing wrong with eating out. So there's something else that I try to dispel too. With your food expenses, it depends on where are you in life. If you have the income that could support you eating out a lot, then you can eat out as much as you want. Because at the end of the day, your income supports it, right? But when you first graduate, for example, maybe you just graduate, you have this first job, and you are trying to manage your income responsibly. It may not be the best time to eat out as much. And one of the things that we all know is cheaper for you to make food at home versus eating out. So those are some of those budget hacks that you could be using to make your budget work for you. Thinking about, all right, if I am in a particular situation where I want to save more right now, what's some expenses that I could cut? Maybe not eating out as much. So there's some of those things that you could think about. And at the end of the day, I love that you put a percentage in there, right? Because maybe I'm eating out 20% of the time, or maybe Monday through Friday, I'm cooking my food. And on the weekend, I get to eat out a little bit more. So it's all about proportion, because I also don't want you to feel that budgeting has to constrain you. So many people stop budgeting, or they just like give up on the process because they feel so constrained by it, when really they just got to recalibrate their plans so that they can make their dollars work for them the way they want their dollars to work for them. So with that, I know I could be a little bit wordy. So let's go ahead and put an amount for the food. How much are we going to spend on groceries? In this example, I'm going to go with like us doing groceries instead. 250. All right, very honest for one
Stamps
person.
or without?
How much?
With food stamps or without?
Say that one more time. I couldn't hear you.
With food stamps or without?
Oh, unfortunately, you're not ineligible for food stamps at this income. I love that question though. I love that question. At this income level, you are ineligible, but as college students, for example, right? Maybe some of you are working work study. In the state of Texas, if you work study, you're also eligible for food stamps. I forget if you have to work, I'm not too sure if you have to work at least 19 hours or something along those lines. But if that's you and you want to go ahead and subsidize some extra funding into your budget, then by all means, go ahead and apply for some of those food stamps, because it could save you some money there. But I love some of these answers: 300, 275, 400 to 500 for a family of 5. I like that you put that in there, right? So with a family of 5, it'll be about 400 to 500. Most of the time they say for a single person is in between 150 to 300. And it also depends on that. Like if you're shopping at Whole Foods, so that's pretty great. But even in that process, sometimes you could go ahead and find coupons, and it takes a little bit of time and some planning, but you could find some of those options that could even help you if you're like living a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet. So many different things that you could do. I wish I could like dive into that a little bit more, but for now, I'll go ahead and put, let's say, I'll do 225 just to be in the middle. With 225, you're looking at maybe about 60. No, that's about, actually, let's go up to 250. Let's do 250. The 250, you're between about $70 a week. And it all depends on the interval of like when you're purchasing food and everything. So let's do that. 250. All right. So we taking care of food. And instead of putting money down for eating out, I'm going to do that in your entertainment budget instead. So I don't want to hold you too long, but I also want to give you the information that is relevant to help you through this process. So one thing that we have to go ahead and add is transportation. And I'm going to put that in here right really quickly. All right. So there we go. What type of car we're driving? Anybody? Let's go ahead and put it in the chat. What type of car we're driving? Give me a year. We just graduated, so you might be more likely to purchase a new vehicle. What type of car are we driving? 2014 Toyota Avalon. Okay. Any other cars? 14 Hondas. Honda Civic.
I'm driving a Mazda 2011 Mazda 6 2011.
Okay. Now
I don't have a car or driver's license.
You don't have a car right now?
Mm-mm. I don't even have a driver's license. I'm like a passenger.
That's all right, because right now you're still in college, so you still getting there, right? Let's say we get a gas efficient vehicle. So I'll say like a Honda Civic, and let's say the payment on it, how much do you think let's say a 2017 Honda Civic, low mileage, how much you think the payment will be per month?
About $369, $400.
Perfect. You hit it right on now. So we'll go ahead and do, let's do $325 on this per month. Usually between $300 to $400. Now, the good thing about this car is gas efficient. Of course, a Honda Civic, you aren't spending as much on maintenance. It's a pretty great vehicle. very standard. So that's the good thing about this vehicle, right? Now, next thing we're gonna do is gas. So how much you think you would spend on gas per month?
Maybe like 120 or $100 a month, because you like 25 a week, maybe. Depends on how much you drive.
Perfect, and I love that you threw that in there. That there goes another one of those consumption expenses or variable expenses, right? Depending on how much you drive. If you're driving all over the place, it might cost you a little bit more, right? Now, one other thing I'm going to throw in there, car insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is insurance important? Anybody?
To help you and your fellow, person that's driving. It's important, just in case an accident may happen. It's also convenient just in case if you lock your, your key in the car, or you get a blow tire or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just convenient,
Yep.
just in case something bad happens.
So,
and of course, it's a law to have it.
I love it. You hit it right on the nail, right? Car insurance is so important because should something happen, something adverse, something negative happen, it's good to have protection. So that's why we have like life insurance, we have renter's insurance. So one of the things that I will always encourage you to find out more about is the different types of protection or insurance that's available, especially when you're looking at some of your assets. Now, I know we can't really like dive into that. And I won't even lie to you, I'm not as skilled about talking about insurance, but I always like to drop that bug in there. Like if you should get into a car accident, it is nice or it's convenient, like you said, right, to have a company that will go ahead and pay for those repairs rather than you having to come out maybe $10,000 to repair something. Or if it comes down to like someone breaking into your apartment and being able to have renter's insurance. So just throwing that bug out there. But for car insurance, I'm going to just put this amount down. I'm going to put down that you're a good driver and maybe you have Geico and they gave you some discounts. We're going to go ahead and put 150 in there. All right. So up until this point, we still have about 1150 left. Now, the thing that's important here that I want to share with you is that you all have done a great job, because what you did is you took care of the primary things that matter. You have a place to lay your head, you have food, and you have a way to get back and forth between work. So now what we're going to look at is some of our other expenses. Let's close that up. Oh, there we go. All right. So what's some other expenses that we should go ahead and like take care of? Let's start off with cell phone, for example. How much would you pay towards your cell phone?
125.
25? Everybody agrees 125? Is that the final number?
100. 100.
100?
That's why I have unlimited data and everything. I'm like, I'm not gonna pay like 150. Now, if they give me a phone, love, it's like a deal. You pay 150, they have pay 125, 150. You get a phone and unlimited data for your first month. I'm like, great, but nah, my bill ain't about to be $100. I mean, $150, $125 a month.
I hear you. It depends on what you want there, right? Because, like you said, you could finance a phone, and I see some great, some great mentions in the chat. You could finance your phone, so sometimes that's added into it. Then there's the unlimited. So with that, cell phone bill is all about like, what do I need out of it, right? So constantly while we're doing our budget, we got to think about what value is this particular thing that I'm purchasing bringing to me. Do I need it for like the unlimited? Do I need it to text? Do I need to call? Like beyond that, do I need a new iPhone every year so that I could keep up with the latest trends? Because I really want you to be mindful about that. Like some of the decisions you make, you want to be careful that you're not making it to keep up with everyone else. You know what I mean? So for the sake of like moving forward, I'm just going to put $100 per month. because I could talk all day about this. So that's why I'm trying to keep myself in control and not constantly go off the cuff. So some other things. What else would you spend your money on? Anything else?
Hair and shit.
Huh?
I spend money on hair.
Like for me
getting my
as a
hair done.
lady,
Perfect. I love that. All right. So,
yeah, for me as a lady, I intend to do my hair, which is quite expensive sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
that's very
All
honest.
braids and all those things, cornrows.
I agree with you 110%. So let's say beauty and maintenance. Let's see.
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
at the end of the
My
day,
hair,
if I spell maintenance wrong, y'all don't judge me, okay? Because I have a tendency to struggle with spelling maintenance for some reason, but don't judge me if I spelled it wrong. All right. So, how much? And for the guys, I know this might be a different amount for us. And it depends because, you know, guys nowadays, we spend about $40 to $50 on, well, I know some guys who spend $40 to $50 on their haircut. I cut my hair on my own because, you know, I got hairline ain't what it used to be. I see hair right now, but you know, we ain't gonna focus on that. But at the end of the day, 40 a week, yeah, man, 40 a week. So how much? You saying 40 a week? That'll be about 240. Everybody agree with 240?
maybe 50. I'm gonna go with 50 just in case we have to go buy makeup.
Okay.
I'll buy like the makeup and then go get a $20 haircut or a $10, you know, thing. You know, design. Because I have short hair, so I go to the barber shop and pay the boy price.
Yeah, it's man. I remember when haircuts was like $20. Let me not jump on my soapbox one more time. All right.
I personally spend too much money on my hair and getting my hair done. So yeah, it just depends on a week or 2 weeks what next style I want to get. So I need to learn how to budget with that because my styles can be 200 to 150, depends on the style.
And
is it because of the actual like the I know you say because of the style, but because of the hair that you buy for the style?
It's like it can be like if I'm getting a bundle, you know, or getting the installs, the sew-ins, braids, that all is like a 150 and up.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah,
and I spend a lot.
And you see, I think that's one of the great things about like creating your budget, right? Because now once you start to notice like, oh man, I'm spending a lot of money here, it starts to kicks your brain into another level where you're like, all right, should I shift some of my income? Because is this something that I really enjoy and I need, right? Because at the end of the day, if it's something that you enjoy, you need, I'm for it. But what can I shift around in my budget so that I could go ahead and like maintain this the way that I want to? Or are there some ways that I could cut this portion of my budget, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I always tell people like a budget really, it creates your financial plan. It's just you creating a plan of like what your money will do. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily a constraint. It's just something that's being honest with you. Like, this is what you have. What are you going to do with it? Right. So I'm glad that you threw that in there because it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to cut expenses. Maybe you could like move other portions of your budget around, or you go ahead and say, all right, can I cut from here? Another thing that sometimes will work, right? You may look at your budget and say, well, I want a little bit more money so that I could be saving more, right? Sometimes it's added in one of those side hustles. That's another thing that's great about a budget. It'll go ahead and tell you two stories. It'll tell you, well, you don't have enough money, or you have enough money to take care of your goals and all your plans and everything. And if you find that, you know what, there's some gaps here, maybe I could start me a side hustle or a side business that's starting to subsidize some of the different things that I want.
Right.
So definitely big reasons why I encourage budgeting. But any other expenses? Like
how much was the expenses for the entertainment stuff on and video maintenance? I'm taking notes because I have to do this for extra credit for a class. I'm enjoying it, but I'm just saying like one of my classes said that I can do this for extra credit.
Oh, okay. So you're saying what should be a percentage that you spend on the entertainment?
No, I'm talking about like what did you put in for the
Oh, for the entertainment section. So we'll go ahead and do the entertainment section right now. But before we do that, one thing that I want to, there we go. Somebody said it. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, all that good stuff, right? So we talking Wi-Fi, and let's talk about our Wi-Fi. There we go. Wi-Fi, cable, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. Because although that's entertainment, we tend to go out, we tend to eat out, and that's more so entertainment, if anything, right? So with Wi-Fi, cable, all that good stuff, Netflix, Amazon, how much would you spend? I see $50 here, $500 for drinking out. I ain't mad at you, Lily. We'll touch that in a minute.
125.
How much? 125 altogether?
All my subscriptions and stuff, and 125.
Okay, I'll go with that. There we go. Let me wrap up because we are 45 minutes in, and I don't want to go all. I don't want to keep you here all day because I could talk. So 125 in entertainment. How much do we have left in our budget? 725. All right. So let's finish off with entertainment. I saw 500. Everybody agrees 500? So, all right, let's break down our entertainment in these categories. Let's look at it from a weekly perspective. If you're doing 500 a month, then it is 125 per week that you are.
Oh.
So that's the other thing. I also want you to be able to like divide your income, because some of us, we get paid 2 times a month, 3 times a week, or maybe weekly. So sometimes with some of our expenses, we could look at it on a weekly basis, more like $100 a week. Okay, so is everybody fine with $400 a week?
You can do 400.
All right.
I'm sorry. I meant $100 a month. I'm sorry.
I love that you took yourself off mute for that. Like, nah, yeah. Man.
No. Yeah, I currently, my budget on that is $50. Actually, that's actually what it is. Okay. But if I had to,
How about this? How about I go in between and do 300?
I mean, what is, like, if y'all don't mind me asking, what do y'all spend on the entertainment? I mean, concerts.
Well,
I mean,
no, not really. More like eating out. Spend like just $50 on that a month. It depends on how much you're gonna out.
Wouldn't that fall under food, like fast food or restaurants or like that?
It depends.
That's gross. Well, yeah, it does depend. Some people, they put eating out with groceries. Like they'll say they're gonna do, I spend 200 on groceries every month, and then I spend another 100 eating out every month, and then that makes 300. But that's definitely on the Texas reality tech. That's how they do that. But when it comes to like concerts and stuff, that's under entertainment and like going out, not eating, but like going out to the clubs and stuff. I can't.
Okay, I see.
But,
yeah, my budget is 50.
Okay.
It just depends which cable provider you have, and then sometimes you can bundle your stuff, and then you'll pay less money, and then like different for Netflix, Hulu, and all this stuff, they go by monthly.
Yeah, right. So let me add this in there too. Entertainment is one of the trickier parts of our budget because there's so many things that we do to find relief, right? And one thing that I will tell you, when it comes down to your budget, you should include some form of entertainment. I always share this with people. We are not robots. At the end of the day, we like to enjoy ourselves. Now, the question is, what do we enjoy? And being able to be careful to find a good medium of, am I enjoying too much and it's costing me? Or am I enjoying too little? Now I'm stressed or just finding the right medium of like, all right, well, I may go to the park this weekend and only spend, spend $10. Like I'll get some ice cream, talk to my significant other, go for a walk. Then there's going to be those weekends where it's like, all right, well, you know what? We're going out for dinner and drinks and we're going to do a show. So it's going to cost $200 this weekend. The main thing is you want to have somewhat of a budget for it, because some people's entertainment will be, playing game. For instance, the gamers, they spend a lot of money on their games. If you are someone who likes the outdoors, for example, people who like to go fishing, people who like to go hunting, all of that is different forms of entertainment.
Okay.
So let's put that in there. We'll put 300. Now, eating out, depending on like what you're doing with eating out, because eating out could be a part of your food budget. But if you're like more so, oh, well, I'm going out for the weekend and we're going to go to Morton Steakhouse, for example, and I know we're dropping an easy 200 for the night between drinks, food, all that good stuff, then that would be more of like an entertainment category. But it depends on how you want to treat it. All right. So with
my grandparents go out to Popeyes like every Tuesday, and that's like our eating out.
Okay. So, and we'll get to that really quickly. I know we're in like the last few minutes of our presentation, but on the back end, you want to make sure that you're tracking it, because as you track it, that's where you start to say, all right, how should I count this? If I'm doing it 4 or 5 days out the week, it's not entertainment at this point. Now this is how you're eating food. But if you're only doing it, let's say once or twice a week, and it's outside of your normal flow of the week, then that's more so like an entertainment side. And it's all perceptive. It'll come down to your perception and how you want to do it on the back end. Now, one thing that I do want to just throw in there, just to wrap up and just to touch a few other things, I'm going to be emailing this over to Student Life so that you could go ahead and take a look at the presentation, and I'll email over a budget sheet so that you can start to like build your own budget and find what works for you. But let's say I throw a student loan in there for $200. With your student loans, one thing I want to encourage you to do as you're in college right now is be careful how much you borrow, because of course, student loans help you to pay for your tuition, your books, your fees, even some of your living expenses, right? But when you graduate, always remember that whatever you borrowed in student loans will come out of whatever income you have left, all right? Now, whatever you should need, let's say you really need the money from the student loans, then by all means, especially when you're thinking about your refund, by all means, as you're pursuing your education, that's what student loans are there for, to help you with your tuition, books, and some of your living expenses. If that should, like living expenses is also there to help you with that. But if you're taking like way too much in refunds, for example, that's money that you're gonna have to pay back after you graduate that comes out of your income. So you wanna be careful with that too, because you don't wanna have a situation where you gotta pay $400 a month, $500 a month in student loans, where you could have either been paying $200 a month, or you could be paying zero if you were receiving a grant all this time and you really didn't need the student loans. So just throwing that bug in your ear. But with this last 225, what do we want to do with it? Anybody?
Invest it.
Invest, save, all that good stuff, right? So let me finish up with this. So I'm happy that you brought this up. I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint. And funny enough, most of the things.
I have a question.
Sure.
So you said something about student loans and refunds. So I get a grant and I'm only using the grant, but I'm not using, I haven't even like accepted none of my student loans, but I'm still getting refunds. Do I have to pay that back?
No, if it's a grant, if you receive a refund from a grant, you do not have to pay that back.
All righty.
That's a good question though. All right. So funny enough, I really didn't even need this PowerPoint because we kind of discussed everything without the PowerPoint, but I'm going to still touch on some parts. Is when you're thinking about your income, you want to include all types of income when you're building your budget. So if you are receiving a refund, for example, maybe you are receiving, let's say, a student loan to help out with some of those housing expenses that you have, for example, but you're working at the same time, right? One of the things that I always encourage students to do is to make sure that you include all of your income as you're making your financial plan for the next several months, for the year, because you want to make sure that you can see what you have coming in versus what you have going out when you're looking at your expenses so that you can project properly, build up any savings plans and all that good stuff. Main thing, you just want to know, what do I have left over every month? Now, we kind of touched on this as far as like being careful that you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. That's one of the things that really hurts us when it comes down to us managing money, is that it's an emotional decision a lot of times. Yes, I will send the presentation over to you. The presentation will be, oh, you need this within, I'll send it over to Student Life.
Too.
So I'll let the Student Life department answer that. I'm not sure if we could get it. Can we get it out within 24 hours? Because I could email it immediately so that you could possibly
you
get
do
it.
that. Some of us are using it some of us are in here for extra credit.
Got you. So I'll email it over to Student Life, and towards the end, I'll just let the Student Life department answer for how quickly they could get that sent out.
It probably won't be 40. It probably will be by Monday to give us 48 hours. And those students who registered and are here with us today, we have your email addresses, and then we can email that out to you. Yeah. So Joel, if you get it over to us, we'll get it to them.
All right. So yeah, I'll get it out today over to Student Life, and then, just go through the proper channels on that. All right. So to wrap up, just want to give you some additional information. In the presentation, you'll see this. This is just a few different types of budgets. Like we said earlier, I know sometimes our parents or our guardians didn't get a chance to teach us about budgets. And sometimes we need to just practice different budget systems. Like there's the 50-30-20 budget, for example, where they say 50% of your income should go towards like primary expenses such as housing, gas, food, different things along those lines. Then they say 30% of your budget should go towards your wants and everything. Then the last 20% you should be saving. So I'll send this over to you. Feel free to check out the article about the different types of budgets. You can find the budget that works for you. Now, some tips just to help you in building your budget. You always want to think about needs and wants, like we shared as we were going through the exercise. What is it that I really need? Do I need an apartment that's downtown, or am I just doing it for the gram? Is it just something that I want? Just being able to divide that before you make a decision, especially big financial decisions such as purchasing a car, home, all that good stuff. Before you go into that and make a decision that's going to have long-term impacts on you, you want to separate your emotions from it so that you make the decision that's best for your long-term financial success. So other things that I just want to throw in as far as tips when you're building your budget, make sure that you're creating a system that works for you. For instance, I build my budget monthly and I execute it monthly, right? Some people, it's easier for them to do it every 3 months, every 2 weeks. Whatever works for you, I want you to build up a nice system. Me, I write down all the dates of my payments. And then after that, I'll pay it weekly with automatic transfers. Sometimes I use a cash system. So if you're using automatic transfers, as soon as it hits your account, basically, let's say you get paid on the 15th, on the 16th, the housing bill is being taken out. The car payment is being taken out on the 20th. You want to create that system so that you aren't in a position where you haven't paid something or you haven't planned well. Instead, you want to have that system so that it's executing what you put down on paper. So whatever that system may be, whether it's using cash to pay for all of your expenses, maybe it's going ahead and doing automatic transfers. Maybe you're using a debit card for your system of like how you'll make your payments. You want to create that system that works for you. I know a lot of people, especially now, we do a lot with Cash App, for example. Even if you're using a Cash App or any other transferring service, make sure you put that into your system so that you know that I've written out my budget on paper. Now this is how I'm executing it. Like we said, make sure that you include entertainment in your budget. So the back end of budgeting, and this is one of the more important steps of like you creating your budget, is making sure that you track what you have spent after you finish your budget period. So for instance, I budget monthly. At the end of the month, I have to look at my statement and see, did I do what I put on paper? When I created my budget, I created that nice paper and I said, this is what I'm going to do for the month. At the end of the month, I need to go ahead and make sure that I actually did it. Because if I'm not checking to see if I actually followed through with my plan, then guess what? I might be overspending or I might be underspending. Now, if I'm underspending, then I want to go ahead and like save more money, for example, right? So that's why it's so important to make sure that you track what you spend. And if you find that there's a gap there, like there's a negative gap, that's where you start to reevaluate what you spent. Along with the presentation, you'll see a great article from Nerd Wallet that discusses some ways for you to track what you've spent. So you'll be able to see that in the presentation. Now, other things, you'll also see this where it just shows you like some categories, like what's some percentages of like how much you should be spending in certain categories, all that good stuff. I have an article there too, so feel free to read the article that I have in the PowerPoint. The next thing, as far as your budgeting tools are concerned, there's so many different tools you can use. You can use an Excel worksheet. You can use your financial institution's mobile app if they have like budgeting features in there. One of the more popular budgeting tools are some of these budgeting apps that I've listed here, which are like mint.com, You Need a Budget, everydollar.com. One of the great things about mint.com and You Need a Budget, not only can you build your budget in it, but it'll also track for you. So feel free to check out those resources. Let me move forward. So the last thing that I just want to go ahead and share with you is after you have finished budgeting, you want to make sure that you're making room for saving. I know in our example, we waited towards the end to save, and Dominique Brown had kind of like touched on something of paying yourself first. What it means to pay yourself first is to make it a priority that you are going to save. Make it a priority. So let's say I'm looking at my income and I say, I'm going to save about 10 to 15% of my income because I deserve to have a portion of my money. I deserve that portion. Just like I pay my bills every month, I need to make sure that I'm paying myself. So in doing that, think about what are your primary expenses, then think about your variable expenses. If you're making a goal to save 15% for yourself or 20% for yourself, you start off with that and then you start to like budget for some of those other expenses that you have, and you find ways to like cut things so that you can make your savings goals. Everybody clear on that? You want to make sure that you like prioritize saving, because the good thing about saving, and we touched on it a little bit, saving leads to investing. Saving leads to you being able to purchase, let's say, a home, vehicle, start a business, all that good stuff. But if we're constantly spending and not making time to save, then we're not preparing for some of our financial goals in life. When you're thinking about retiring, if you're thinking about investing for the first time, that all starts off with you saving. So one of the things I really want to encourage you to do is make sure that you build your budget, but also save. So I have some additional resources in here for you also, where you'll be able to look at like different plans of saving. But with that, I'm pretty much done for today. I know it's 2:01. Last thing that I want to tell you is feel free to reach out to the HEC financial coaches. I used to be an HEC financial coach. So just in case you need help with a budget, you need help determining how much should I save, you need to learn a little bit more about credit, please feel free to reach out to the HEC financial coaches. I still know a few of them. Some of them I don't know. It's been a few years, but great team, and they gave birth to me doing what I did, what I do in my career as well. So,
Joel, I got a quick question. You don't mind me asking? Mm-hmm. What's required to be a financial coach at a college institution?
That's a great question. So, number one,
like, is that what they do full time? Like that like, it's kind of like saying an advisor. Yeah, or a counselor.
That is what they do full time. So
wow.
for the most part, as a financial coach, most of the time it does require a bachelor's degree. That's the number one thing. Now,
Bachelor's degree in finance or accounting, or
so
as long as you have a bachelor's degree.
It's really just having a bachelor's degree for the most part.
Okay.
The financial coaching field, I've been in the field for about I would say since 2014, so that's 7 years now. With financial coaches, this is a lot of it is knowledge that you could gain by doing research. So let's say if you take the time to go ahead and get a certification, or if you're learning about like budgeting, you're learning about saving, you're learning about credit, then at that point, you essentially are a financial coach, because most of it is being able to tell people what's the industry standards, and the industry standards are pretty public.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you have a bachelor's degree most of the time, that's the starting point. Now, a second thing that does help is, like, let's say you came from banking, or maybe you did do accounting, then that makes you more desirable when you're looking at different employers. So like at HEC, I know when they interviewed us, we had like a mixed bag of a team. We had people who worked in colleges before, but they like dabbled into finances, or they done financial aid, for example, and now they're a financial coach. We have people who were like in banking. We had people who were in nonprofits prior, or doing social services, and it became a desire of theirs to help people with managing their money. So it's so many things. So many people could become a financial coach. If you're looking to go in that direction, or you want to go into the career, number one, I would probably say, go ahead and look into like banking, for example, or volunteering with some different organizations that practice financial coaching, where they could get you certifications so that you really could stand out versus the crowd. Because there's one career that could exemplify financial coaching. It's kind of open in that regard.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you mind if I talk to you like 2 or 3 minutes after you finish with everyone? Is that okay?
That's fine with me. I could probably, it's probably better if, because I know we're on the HEC Student Life channel.
Okay.
What I'll do, if you could just email me right now, I'm sending you my email real quick, and I'll go ahead and like put aside 5 minutes real quick. We'll jump on my Zoom real quick, and I'll talk with you about it.
Okay, yes, sir. I'm emailing you right now.
All right, perfect. And I'll go ahead and set it up with you right now.
Are
there any other questions? I know it's 2 o'clock, so I don't want to hold all of you up. I know
it's 1 o'clock here.
Oh, I'm on the East Coast. I apologize, y'all.
Yes, I have a question. It's one over here, but I have a question. I'm a very like visual learner. Like I like to see what's going on, and for some reason my Zoom, it wouldn't allow me to go on. For some reason the passcode would not work, so I'm actually talking to you guys through my cell phone. So I'm not seeing nothing that you guys are doing, but I kind of participated and said things here and there. So I was trying to see if you guys had my name and also my email, so I can get everything and just actually look at what you talked about throughout this whole presentation.
I actually do not have your name. I just see your cell phone number, but what is your name?
My name is Jamie Moore.
Okay, don't worry. I will, if you registered, I should be able to pull that on the back end. This is recorded, so we will have it available on our Student Life YouTube channel, available for playback. So worst case scenario, if we can't find you on the back end, just hypothetically, feel free to email us at hgc.studentlife. You get our emails all the time, but just feel free to email us at Student Life, and we can get that for you.
Okay, thank you so much. I believe I'm registered, and I also emailed you guys letting you guys know that the Zoom wasn't working, but I know y'all was in the class, so I just found a way to call. I did it a different way because I didn't want to miss it, and also, it was also credit for my class as well. So I needed to learn this.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I have something to say. This thing came kind of late, and I was like, oh, you guys on Saturday, which is great. Yeah, I don't know if you guys might have my email also. Are you gonna go like more in depth with this, like as far as training with budgeting and heck, investing, even like have them more times like this?
That is a great question. So currently, this is going to conclude our actual financial literacy events for Financial Literacy Month. But as Joe mentioned before, we do have financial coaches. That's a whole separate department, separate from student life. So you can always reach out to them and ask them what kind of financial literacy workshops they have going. And if you have some specific topics that you're interested in, like investing and things of that sort, then you can talk to them about that.
Thank you.
I also just send this out there for everyone. So a lot of investing, there's a lot of knowledge out there about investing. So one thing that I would just tell you to do too is you can look up a lot of this information. So I just put investopedia.com out there. Great place for you to go ahead and just like look at different investment vehicles, learn a little bit about stocks, bonds, stuff along those lines.
Yeah, and there's stuff in there about getting grants too.
Not on investopedia.com, unfortunately. That wouldn't be on there. I would say for that, you want to talk with financial aid and your financial coaches.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, it is 2:08, and we definitely want to respect everyone's time. This video will be available for playback again on our YouTube channel. I will pull the list of attendees and send out a follow-up email with the link to this video on YouTube, as well as Joel's PowerPoint. So just be on the lookout for that by Monday at the latest. If you are attending this event for points, our Eagle points, you should be able to see those on your profile in 2 business days as well. So give us till about Tuesday for those to appear. And if there are no other questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap this event. Thank you so much, Joel. This was great information, very informative, and I can tell our students were engaged. So as always, great job.
Thank you.
Say, ma'am, could you put the YouTube channel again on the on the chat so I get that?
Yes, give me 1 second, and I will find the link to our playlist.
Hey, what are you? What are you doing? You guys
Excuse
wanna
me?
eat?
Yes.
How long the instructor will receive the announcement of our attendance?
Yes, so I'm not going to email your instructor directly, but I will send you guys the email and that says thank you for attending with the link to this video. And then if you need some additional proof, you can log into your Eagle Experience profile and it should show as attendance on your profile. I just dropped the link to the Student Life YouTube channel there, so just kind of keep checking back. When it is posted, it will be there, but again, I will still send you an email with the link, and then I also dropped the link. Sorry, I had missed a letter. There is also the link to Presence, which is our Eagle Experience platform, which tracks your attendance at our events. And feel free to check out the YouTube channel. Every time we have an event, we do post it there. So I know you guys had some questions about other events that we've hosted, maybe that take place during the week. We did side hustles earlier this week. We also did credit this week. So you can always go back and watch those as well. All right.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Philistin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel and hosts. Thank you.
Bye.